What if I told you that we're being lied to about cholesterol too? What if I told you the truth isn't as clear-cut as it seems? Would you believe me? Today we're diving into the topic of cholesterol, a vital hormone. And once again you might be surprised. Hi, I'm Mr. B, and this is the Health Theory channel, where I explore different health theories, compare them, gather scientific studies and expert opinions, and present them to you with my commentary. If you don't want to miss anything and genuinely want to take care of your health, be sure to subscribe to the channel. First off, let me know in the comments if you believe in good and bad cholesterol and whether you've ever had issues with high cholesterol. All right, let's examine the first and most popular theory about cholesterol. Cholesterol, seemingly a harmless component of our body, becomes a deadly threat if it spirals out of control. Although it's essential for producing hormones, vitamin D, and bile for digestion, excess cholesterol turns into a silent killer, wreaking havoc in our arteries. High cholesterol levels, known as hypercholesterolemia, are a major risk factor for atherosclerosis, cardiovascular diseases, and consequently, heart attacks and strokes. Combating it isn't optional, it's a necessity. There are two main types of cholesterol: good HDL and bad LDL. HDL works in our favor, transporting excess cholesterol to the liver, where it's removed from the body. LDL, on the other hand, is the real enemy. Its excess accumulates in artery walls, forming plaques that narrow blood vessels, restrict blood flow, and cause blockages. This leads to ischemic heart disease, strokes, and other fatal complications. The worst part? High cholesterol usually has no symptoms. It's a silent killer that develops its deadly mechanisms in our bodies over the years without warning signs. It's typically diagnosed only through blood tests or when severe complications like a heart attack or stroke occur. Ignorance isn't an option. Preventive testing is a necessity, not a luxury. The key weapons in the fight against cholesterol are diet, lifestyle, and medication. A healthy, balanced diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats, is our first line of defense. Avoiding trans and saturated fats is absolutely essential. However, diet alone often isn't enough. This is where medications like statins come in, effectively lowering LDL cholesterol and saving lives. We also shouldn't overlook the role of dietary supplements such as plant sterols, stanols, or omega-3 fatty acids. Although their effectiveness in reducing heart disease risk is still under investigation, they can complement a healthy lifestyle. However, no supplement can replace the fundamentals: diet, physical activity, and proper treatment. High cholesterol isn't a death sentence, but it requires a relentless fight. Ignorance in this area is a fast track to tragedy. Regular checkups, lifestyle changes, and appropriate therapy are the only solutions to win this unequal battle. The time to act is now, for yourself, your loved ones, and a future free of heart disease. Ignoring high cholesterol is like leaving a ticking time bomb inside your body. We must realize that every day of delay brings us closer to severe health complications. For too long, we've treated cholesterol as a distant topic that concerns others. But this problem knows no boundaries of age, gender, or social status. It can affect any of us, and the consequences of neglect are irreversible. Lifestyle changes must be radical. Smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, and a sedentary lifestyle not only contribute to cholesterol levels, but amplify its destructive impact on the body. Every cigarette, every excessive drink, and every day without physical activity fuels this disease. Doctors urge us to reduce risk on all possible fronts, not just by lowering cholesterol, but also by controlling diabetes, hypertension, and body weight. A holistic approach is the only effective method. Medications, especially statins, are invaluable in lowering LDL levels. They help stop atherosclerotic processes before they lead to tragedy. Statins work by reducing cholesterol production in the liver and lowering its presence in the blood. However, their effectiveness depends on consistent use. Unfortunately, many patients abandon therapy due to misplaced fears about side effects. The truth is, the side effects of high cholesterol are far scarier than the potential downsides of treatment. Cholesterol isn't our enemy, provided it's kept in check. When it gets out of control, it becomes the greatest threat to our health. In this battle, there's no room for compromises or half measures. It's a fight we must win for ourselves and future generations. The time for decisive action is now. Each day is an opportunity for change, but every delay is a step closer to a preventable tragedy. Don't let cholesterol dictate your fate. Fate, glorious statins, and cholesterol with a split personality. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Now, let's turn to a second theory, which, in this matrix-like world, resonates more with me. Let's start with a certain study that, with surgical precision, showed that the world might not be black and white, and the theory of atherosclerotic effects of meat and fat might be as absurd as wearing socks with sandals. The study involved 80 people who had been on a ketogenic diet for an average of 4.7 years, with some maintaining it for as long as 12 years. The average LDL cholesterol level in this group, the so-called killer on the plate, was 272 milligauss DL, with one participant even hitting an astonishing 591 milligauss DL. Yes, you heard right, almost 600, not a measly 150. And a catastrophe? Not exactly. And now the best part. After nearly 5 years of tracking the participants using highly sensitive methods like the coronary artery calcium, CAC, score, and CT angiography, it turned out nothing happened. Zero. Nada. Zilch. The CAC score in both groups, the ketogenic and the control, remained at zero after all those years. Atherosclerosis, which according to classic theories should have attacked those fatty arteries by now, apparently decided to take a vacation. But wait, perhaps the control group was exceptionally healthy. Not really. The ketogenic group participants were leaner, had higher HDL levels, lower triglycerides, and generally looked as if they could run fitness channels on Instagram. The control group, known as the Miami Heart Group, was composed of healthy average folks, a typical population that neither runs marathons nor overindulges in fast food. Yet, it was in the ketogenic group, with their bunless burgers and bacon-topped eggs, that atherosclerosis was supposed to flourish. And the result? Nothing. Moreover, the ketogenic participants were metabolically healthy and exhibited a phenotype known as lean mass hyperresponders. These are individuals whose bodies respond to dietary fats with elevated LDL levels, a phenomenon that alarms proponents of low-fat diets, but seems to cause no harm. Blood pressure? Normal. Glucose levels? Normal. Atherosclerotic plaques? What plaques? Here's the kicker. 55% of them had zero arterial calcifications, a finding that punches a serious hole in the cholesterol atherosclerosis theory. Adding to the irony, the ketogenic group also had higher levels of HDL, the good cholesterol, and lower triglycerides, markers traditionally associated with excellent metabolic health. So to those advocating eat bread to live longer, it seems a hamburger with avocado and bacon might do more good than a low-fat cheese sandwich. This study is like a pin bursting the balloon of the myth that a ketogenic diet is a recipe for quick atherosclerosis and sudden death. It turns out that eating fat, long blamed for clogging arteries like chewing gum, doesn't seem interested in doing so. Instead, over 5 years, no significant adverse effects occurred. No apocalyptic artery disaster. The ketogenic diet emerges unscathed, while the idea that fat equals atherosclerosis looks about as credible as flat earth theories. Even more amusing is that the ketogenic diet, known for over a century and one of the most well-researched in the world, has never been conclusively proven to cause cardiovascular problems. Perhaps it's time to discard the tales of killer bacon and just enjoy a buttered steak. The evidence suggests so, and the rest seems like the marketing of the low-fat margarine industry. When it comes to elevated triglycerides in the blood, as revealed by a lipid profile, they are a major warning sign of metabolic disorders. Levels above 150 mg/dl or even reaching 300 mg/dl or more indicate that the body struggles to manage fats in the bloodstream. However, it's crucial to understand that dietary fats aren't the primary culprit here. The main offenders are carbohydrates, specifically certain types and how meals are composed. The human body uses 4 primary energy sources: glucose, fatty acids, ketone bodies, and amino acids. Of these, amino acids, as the building blocks of proteins, are conserved and rarely used for energy. This means we primarily function on glucose and fatty acids. When we consume carbohydrates, the body breaks them down into glucose, which is used for immediate energy needs. The problem arises when the amount of glucose exceeds the body's requirements. Excess glucose triggers a process called de novo lipogenesis, where glucose is converted into triglycerides and stored as fat. Particularly problematic are simple sugars like fructose and alcohol, which chemically resemble fructose. Both substances intensely stimulate triglyceride production in the liver. Moreover, when carbohydrates and fats are consumed together in a single meal, lipolysis, the breakdown of fats, is blocked by elevated insulin levels. Insulin, a hormone responsible for lowering blood glucose levels, simultaneously inhibits the enzyme lipoprotein lipase, essential for triglyceride breakdown. This kind of diet, combining carbs and fats, especially alongside proteins, leads to an accumulation of triglycerides in the blood. The body struggles to utilize them effectively because metabolic processes are disrupted by chronically high insulin levels. The excess triglycerides are then stored in fat cells, causing them to enlarge, hypertrophy, and increase in number, hyperplasia. This process contributes to weight gain, obesity, and ectopic fat deposits in undesirable places like the liver, blood vessels, and heart. Once again, let's emphasize, it's not dietary fats that cause elevated triglycerides, but rather excessive carbohydrate consumption, particularly in combination with fats. Fructose and alcohol are especially damaging because they directly prompt the liver to produce triglycerides, regardless of external fat intake. Low physical activity exacerbates the issue. Normally, muscles serve as a major reservoir for glucose and fatty acid utilization, but when inactive, they allow fats to accumulate in the bloodstream. To prevent this, avoiding the combination of carbohydrates and fats in one meal is one of the most effective strategies for lowering triglycerides. Reducing intake of fructose, simple sugars, and alcohol, as well as increasing physical activity, especially strength training, helps the body efficiently use stored energy. Building muscle mass is also crucial as it improves the metabolism of glucose and triglycerides. In conclusion, elevated triglycerides result not from dietary fats, but from carbohydrates, specifically their excess and poor meal combinations. Avoiding these dietary mistakes and incorporating physical activity are fundamental steps to minimize the risk of severe health issues such as insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. And finally, a word about statins. If you visit a doctor's office after turning 30 or 40, you'll likely hear about statins before you can even say cholesterol. These drugs are prescribed to almost everyone who isn't on a liquid fiber diet. In the past, total cholesterol levels of 240 mg/dl were considered normal. But now, with the magic thresholds of 190 200 mg/dl, you can quickly find yourself labeled at risk. LDL? That's a separate story. 115 mg/dl for low risk, 100 for moderate, 70 for high, and 55 for very high risk. Don't worry, the standard might drop even lower. giving statins even more justification to be prescribed. But let's not dismiss the data entirely. Studies show that statins do work, though their effectiveness is modest. When you hear that statins reduce risk by 50%, it sounds miraculous. But that's relative risk. Absolute risk reduction tells a different story. For instance, if 2 out of 100 people are at risk and statins save 1 person, that's a 50% relative risk reduction, but only a 1% absolute reduction. That's a far less impressive figure. In terms of life extension, statins might add 3 days over 6 years in primary prevention for people without prior cardiovascular issues and 4 days in secondary prevention for those with existing conditions. That's right. After 6 years on statins, you gain a few extra days. It's hard to get excited about this when considering side effects, muscle pain, cognitive decline, and an increased risk of diabetes or insulin resistance. So, while statins can be beneficial for some, particularly those unwilling or unable to make lifestyle changes, they're no miracle cure. For everyone else, the recipe for better health is simple. Change your diet, lose weight, exercise, reduce carbohydrate intake, and try intermittent fasting. These strategies offer substantial benefits without the baggage of side effects. In summary, statins aren't the superhero cape-wearing saviors of humanity. They're more like the unpredictable sidekick. Sure, they might help a bit, but if you look away, they might just mess things up. Now tell me in the comments, which theory resonates more with you? And don't forget to subscribe to Health Theory, because there's much more health-focused content to come. Or maybe the theory says you're not subscribed yet, but that's just a theory, right? Right?